Can't tell if it's working. It just seems to be spinning. There we go. I think I'm live. Stretch. Wait, what's on my screen? All right, I think I got all this. Let me turn my phone off. Details. All right, we are live. It is 3 o'clock. I'm about on time. Close enough to being on time. So we'll call it close enough today. Move things off the screen and maybe shouldn't be. Let me see, what is this? Oh, this is stuff I can have on the screen here. What did I left this all on. Neat. So I am live. I'll babble on about stuff in a minute. We can, is that right? Okay, yeah, that's right. 10 gig connections we're talking about here. I was starting to do a video on this and then it all happened. You know, people asked me, and I did a video talking about the FreeNAS stuff, and I commented I had 10 gig on here. I'm like, I've never really talked about what 10 gig cards to use and how to have 10 gig connections between things. So that's on my list too, to make some videos about 10 gig. I've done a video on the switch we're using, which is still the Unify 10 gig switch, which I'm really happy with. So that works really well. I do plan to do some more Linux videos. That's high on my to-do list too. So Linux videos and how to get started. So awesome. I see someone say they got started with Pop OS. I really like Pop OS, and I'll bring up, because he brought me up in a video. If you guys didn't see, well, actually, I don't think that I'll get a copyright strike for this. I'll go on to Twitter first. And what did I tweeted it out. I can find it easier sometimes when I go do tweets. There we go. Tech Wendell. There we go. So if you didn't know, at the beginning of Wendell's video,
2018, Tom Lawrence and Jay LaCroix.
I like that he put our headers. I should make this our new thing. Me and Jay are definitely going to like this. I got to send that to him. So this was really cool. I was at PenguinCon over the weekend. I didn't do any video on it. So I'm going to do some more Linux stuff. If you don't follow Level 1 Techs, which I doubt many of you don't already, but obviously they're great to follow. Wendell's great. They have a lot of great Linux content, a lot of good content in general about systems and everything else. Hey, awesome. Thank you, Grayson. Good old Linux Geek throwing some money at us. Makes me happy. See, howdy. I'm reading all the messages right over here in the corner here. Tested on Tangle Firewall. What did your final thoughts? I like Untangle. We've got some Untangle deployments. I don't think Untangle's bad at all. Untangle actually has really nice reporting. That was one of the things I commented on. Like, their reporting system is really nice. So it's one of those things that I definitely think is good. So, all right. So yeah, there's some people having some debate about them inside of the in my forums and things like that. By the way, let me throw this out here, because someone emailed me and I didn't reply, and they said, "Oh, I didn't know you had forums." I'm like, I guess not everybody watches the video to the end, which is why I added that little header at the beginning of the videos that says, "Hey, I have forums." That forums.lawrencesystems.com. Because yeah, if you just email me silly questions, you're not likely to get a response. Emailing me is because you want to hire me, not, "Hey, I have a question." And I get a lot of emails that say, "Hey, I have a question." If I spent time replying to all of those, I would be like, just absolutely, I'd be so busy doing it, I wouldn't have time to do other things. Do I still use pfSense? Can you use Proxmox videos? Can you examine my network servers? Tell me how to fix it. What's wrong? I know I didn't get to pay you for it. Yep, that happens. I would do my best, but I'm sometimes just too bombarded. That's why I like it all in forums, because there's some awesome, amazing people in these forums, and these amazing people in these forums help me do things like manage all the forums and reply to topics. Matter of fact, 92 more people just signed up today. the more, and I'm getting a lot of great people. A lot of you are here and you reply to people, so that helps relieve the burden and help me sometimes when there's a lot of questions going on here. I like to jump in and do as best I can, but it's nice when I have a lot of help from all of my friends here. And I keep the system up to date. I go in here at least 2 or 3 times a day on a scheduled basis to do this. Let's see. Should I do the CompTIA Linux exam or LP1 exam? What's the difference? I am the worst person to ask about that. I am not a person who has any certifications. Therefore, I am not someone who's good at answering those questions very well. But I'm sure someone hopefully will have a better answer in there than I do about that. Can I do a video about insert obscure product here? Yeah, that happens a lot. A lot of people ask me to review things like, hey, just review this, please. Okay, you want to send me one? For the 2, I can throw in a random question. I see that InfoBand with QSFP connections costs about $120 and the cost about 20 to 40. So is it worth the money for 40 gigs? So I'll address the 40 gig question real quick. Do you have hard drives that can keep up with and take over and use that effectively? 10 gig will saturate a really fast array. This is about how fast these drives are. So we know 1 gig's easily saturated by, 1 spinning hard drive. SSDs are faster than 1 gig connections. So then we got to go to 10 gig. So now we've got a pipe that's able to take it. But then the next problem we run into is, okay, do you have a RAID array fast enough to send the data? Okay, so you build a RAID array of SSDs. Will it exceed 40 gig? That's going to have to depend on the backplane and on the controller. So now you have to make sure you have a backplane that can handle 40 gigs. Matter of fact, I can probably demonstrate a backplane problem for you guys related to that. So while I'm a second before I do that, so let's see. Thank you, Scott M, for throwing $10. Hi, Tom. Hope you guys having a good day. Just curious if you'd be attending the Techno Unplugged in Grand Rapids. I have not looked that one up. I think someone posted about it. I am bad about attending conferences because I'm not big on travel. Let's look. It's in Grand Rapids. It's in September. Cool. What do they do there? Cybersecurity. I don't know. Maybe. Why is it labeled presentation? Do they not have presenters? VLANs, network diagnostics, what tools use for your business? Maybe, I don't know. I like cybersecurity conferences, so those are more my take than these. I don't like business ones that much. I'm not a businessy person sometimes. So it's a maybe. I don't know. Don't take it wrong. Don't take me for it. It doesn't look compelling to me. $200 a ticket. I don't know. If they want me as a speaker, I might consider. So I guess I don't know who's in charge of this. That's kind of how it goes. I don't mind speaking, but I do paid speaking engagements if I'm usually comped when I go places. I'm not being full of myself. I'm just saying I have limited amount of bandwidth. Grand Rapids is really cool though. If you're traveling to Michigan, Grand Rapids is a cool place. Killer for 2. I don't know if I can fill up about $200. The switching cards and buy a 10 gig switch. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, I mean it's cheap, and if you're not using all the bandwidth, then that's fine. So, Scott, I don't know about the Grand Rapids on conference. If you want to post about it in my forum, I don't mind. So I can have a discussion. I don't know who's involved. Like I don't know who puts this on. Matter of fact, I'm actually I see its website provided by TechSite Builder, but it seems vague. So. I don't really, they seem vague and don't have much of presentations booked, but then again, it is a few months out, so whatever. Act 2, any suggestions for RDP for Linux Pop OS, what works for MS Windows 10? Like you want to connect to Windows 10 from Pop OS? That you could use the, this Remina, REMMINA, remote desktop. This connects to Windows servers, if that's the question you're asking. So, yeah, that's away you go. That should work. So yeah, so there is that tool if you want to do that. Backplane issues, back to someone asking about the 40 gig thing. So let me go here, exit, sh, iperf3-c, 192.168.10.8. This is what happens when you have a backplane that can't handle 10 gig. This is an old motherboard in this older FreeNAS box that I have. You notice how it's stuck at 6.6 gigs? They're identical cards. That's the backplane reaching its limit. So this is the top is a different server. You can see it's peaking out at 6. From this box, it's only able to peak out at 6 gigs. And then if you exit out and I go to this box and do the same thing, you can see it hits 10 gigs. That's just like backplane issues you run into if you have one of those 40 gig ones. But if it works and you have drivers for it, awesome. I don't know, if you do or not. No, I am I'm getting over being at PenguinCon. I had a cold, and I'm finally getting over said cold, so my voice is a little bit raspy probably. I have an issue using running a full screen. I don't know. I never use it full screen. I'm not sure what your issue is. If you need remote access to your Linux machine. Good topic. And I say that because it's literally in the title of the show here. I did a video on this on X2Go. And start X2Go everywhere. This is a great methodology to do it. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and connect to one of my VMs here and make sure it's not full screen because I don't want it to be. Cool. All right. Let's log into another desktop with X2Go. Starting session. Started in the other window and drag it over here. But yeah, you can use X2Go to, I'm now in a different system. I'm in a Parrot Linux install that I have installed, and you can see I can access it just like I'm there. This is actually something I wanted to talk about because I had some more ideas on this. I did a video on X2Go. I took a dive into it to show people how it worked. And it's a great system. It works really, really well. The X2Go system. Parrot, I'm working on a review of it for you. So I'm still putting that together. But yeah, you can use Parrot, and I can set up all the different tools inside of here and use all of this, and I can have it set up as a VM that I can use X2Go to get into. That way, if I kick off some type of penetration testing, enumeration scanning, things that take a long time to run, it can sit there running in the back on my server. I can disconnect from this session, jump on this session later, and see how it's going. So the X2Go is a great solution for that. Now X2Go supports more than RDP, and in the Microsoft world, it's called published apps, and in Linux, it's very similar to published apps with X2Go. And this is something I'm really thinking about doing an in-depth video on and building a new server just for this. So the remote apps feature, yeah, if you're talking about the Windows one, it's been around since I think, is it Server 2008 or 2012? It's been around for a while when they started doing that. So that's a cool feature. But this, and we're going to go ahead and open up this video here. This is the video I did this morning. And settings, view, layout, one screen. There we go. This is a video I did this morning. Actually, I probably have a video from the other day too. This one? Yeah, it's got a few more things, cuts and stuff like that. Either way, you can see I'm editing here, and I'm editing not on my computer, but this app is actually on the server via published apps. When I switch over to X2Go, which is right here, you can see that it's running this right here. It says running. It says Tom session ID str KdenLive DP24. What that's telling you is it's running X2Go on a server running inside of there. Yeah, no, this is not KD Plasma. My system's running Pop OS. Coincidentally, only because I did it for testing, they're running Pop! OS on the VM inside of here. But I can take these applications and run the applications. They are graphically displayed locally here. And no, X2Go is free. It's open source. X2Go is completely open source. And now it's able to, completely give me the screen here, but I'm actually running the application on that. Now, why is all this relevant? Why did I want to babble on about it was, well, here's the cool part. So if we go over here, we go to render, and we'll just delete. So it's doing something there, and we hit render to file. So now it's kicking off the render part of the video, which obviously takes a long time. So if we go here, exit all the things we have going on. So exit, exit, exit. So if we look at my computer, this is my computer locally. I have 8 cores in here, and Google Chrome is sucking up most of it. Somewhere in here, OBS is using a lot too. But Tom at 24 cores over on the server, and you notice what it's running here, KdenLive melt, KdenLive melt. So when you're doing this, you leverage the power of the server. So I said, well, instead of upgrading my computer, I can just go buy some really crazy 48 core or bigger server, find some good deal on a really high-end server that I can use for other things. But then when I want to render stuff, I just run X2Go and run this on the server and take advantage of all the cores. Because by the way, this is something really interesting that, KdenLive being multi-threaded takes advantage, as you notice right here, all the cores. Not 100% all the time, but it does distribute it. So if I had 48 cores, there is a point of diminishing return, but for the most part, I can get more done with those parts. So it's really a slick way to do this. Now, let's see, does X2Go have theme support? Well, that's where things get tricky. So how about VMs that you are connecting via X2Go? The X2Go, we're going to go ahead and abort job, clean up. We don't actually need to do it. Quit. Nope, don't save the changes. And now all the processors are at rest. So this is all running in my virtualization server over here in Zen Orchestra on XCPNG server. I happen to be running it in Pop! OS. You can see I have 24 cores assigned to it right here with 8 gigs of RAM, which is actually plenty for editing. The same thing with Parrot. Parrot's sitting right here. I only have 8 cores assigned to Parrot. And here's, hey, look at the little connections I made. Obviously, cause a little spike in usage and things like that. So with X2Go, it does not like GNOME. It likes GNOME very little. X2Go doesn't. GNOME's not fully supported in X2Go, but like Parrot uses Mate. Mate is supported. So the difference between X11 forwarding and X2Go, it works more like terminal server, so it's a little bit different than how you would look at a system using X11 forwarding. And X11 forwarding has its own little bugs and things like that in it. So I've not used it in a while. I always remember it being really buggy. X2Go is not buggy. It's actually really nice. It encapsulates and does everything over SSH. I can't remember the tool they used in the background to make it all happen, but there's some documentation. I covered it in my video about some of the different methodologies that it works on, but it's really a solid protocol. Yeah, low power consumption is important in a server, but it really depends, what you're going to do. At some point, these are the same servers, by the way. This Parrot and these other instances are all running on the same system that runs my other stuff. Like it runs Screen Connect, it runs Unify, it runs our wikis, it runs some mail stuff we have going on. It runs all my invoicing. So having a fast server already benefits me by having a fast system that does all of these things in here, as well as doing things like this. So yeah, I do concern myself, with power consumption, but yeah. I do like GNOME. It's really nice. But yeah, it is, like I said, it doesn't work very well in X2Go, but something that does work, and let's go over here and bring up X2Go again. I'm using GNOME Pop! OS here. If you go into GNOME, you have to use a very flat, non-3D accelerated version of GNOME to make that work. So this is what that looks like, which is, it's going to be ugly. So here is what it looks like when you use GNOME with X2Go. And yeah, it doesn't really look very GNOME-like, does it? Now, KDE is supported, as I understand. You can use KDE in there, but I don't know how much of the 3D acceleration works very well. And not to mention, one of the problems you're running into when you're doing this is when you're using X2Go, you're trying to pipe everything over. Even Windows, when you turn on RDP, it turns off sometimes some of the, extra features and things like that because it wants to make it a little bit smoother. It wants to work a little bit better. So there are going to be sacrifices when you're connecting it remotely. Yeah, absolutely. X2Go is absolutely can work like a workstation, like the remote apps. Like I said, as I was showing you with, let me close this one. Like I was showing with the session here for, close this, KdenLive. Let me terminate these. I don't want too many things running on it. So here's X2Go publishing this application, which is KdenLive. It looks, for all intents, it looks like it's running local on the system here. You know what I mean? There's nothing about it to make you think it's not. It's fast. It's not laggy. I'm editing. As a matter of fact, let me pull up that other video real quick. It has no problem doing video editing on here, so you can see there's all the video editing work. The sound comes through. The published application runs just like it's on my desktop. There's nothing about it that's laggy or slow or anything. Granted, I'm on LAN, so that's going to be a difference. Once you start publishing a remote app, and you're at constrained amounts of bandwidth, you're going to have problems. But I will admit, let me go over here now. We quit this application. Let's go over here to session preference. Publish app. All right. I never use the magnifier, so I can't really say too much about it. But with these published applications, this is the application list from the server. So now I can run whatever I want, like LibreOffice. We'll open up Elk, start. I can run these as published applications individually. This is something else that's supported via this too. So I chose to run KdenLive as its own. You could actually specifically lock it down or launch into it. It's very flexible. But now this is running as a published application. Now applications like this actually work fine for things. But it works fine for things like this, for, these type of applications because they're not there. Multimedia applications, they're a little bit harder to do, especially if I do something like launch Firefox. So if I launch Firefox, it'll work. And yes, it will pipe video through and audio through for Windows. So if you use Windows as a client, Windows clients work great. That works as well for doing that. She would do. Now this is where it has a little bit of lag. Hey, look, I'm live. So if I hit play on some of these videos, there's a little bit more lag.
Yoga class?
It's working, but sometimes you'll see a little bit of, see how it jerked a little bit when I scrolled? It's not butter smooth. It's good.
I wouldn't recommend it.
But, that's obviously not, you generally aren't going to want to pipe a browser over as a published application. Usually you're going to be using it for a different setup. Like you're going to use it to have some specific access to some specific application that you want running somewhere else. So it's neat for that. Matter of fact, I have Discord running on it because I don't like running unsigned code on any of my actual workstation. So I was testing and running Discord on there to play with it. I usually just run the web version, but I wanted to see how it worked in Linux. It works. You can use things like the GNU image manipulation program, GIMP, that works well. I've tried a few things. The downside is certain copy and paste things don't work. Like I can't copy. When I use GIMP, I copy and paste things off the web and into there. That seems to not work very well because, well, you're only viewing the session. You're not using all of the clipboard functions. So, yeah, there's some issues there. Oh, awesome. I see someone said they opened their eyes to the open source world and NAS servers. That's great. What else? I make sure I missed anything. Something. Does the app stream or just loads in the system? No, it's streaming the app. The app is functionally working on the other level. The app is functionally working on whatever the host is. I'm just visualizing it here. It's just being rendered locally. I'll mute this. I muted it so you guys don't have to hear that. I still have a little bit of a cold, like I said. How do we monitor our pfSense machines? Zabbix. Been using Zabbix to monitor them. It's easy. It's simple. As far as the updates go, that's actually really easy because pfSense updates are universally the same. It's one singular platform. If there's an update for my pfSense, there's an update for my client's pfSense. There's no exceptions to that. They all update at the same time. So it's not about managing it. It's about scheduling the updates for the firewall and when you can load the updates. It's not about knowing if there's an update needed. You make a list. These people have pfSense. These people are paying me to manage it and update it. Therefore, we update it. So are you using tmux for a terminal multiplexer? Of course I'm using tmux. I love tmux. And let me make this bigger. And too big. Hold on. So if you're not familiar with tmux, it allows you to do, and I always spawn tmux on my main machine, so I can do things like this. So I can jump into other machines and then go from there. I can go into, I don't know, the other machine I want to talk about, FreePBX. So I can log into these different machines, and then keep splitting the windows infinitely. Matter of fact, they'll split different ways. And I haven't done a video on tmux. I'm not the best teacher, but I will tell you who has. I'll throw a link to this. This is how I learned tmux.
What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and welcome.
Right here. So copy. This, I learned tmux from Jay. So I've, obviously doing a lot of it myself, but seriously, his tmux tutorial I thought was really good. They're nice because he broke them up into a series of short tutorials. And then once you kind of learn that, there is tmux sheet. Yes, it's purple. I go here a lot. And it's all the different session commands for tmux. It's one of those things that'll change you, man. You learn tmux, your life gets better. You'll spin up sessions when you do upgrades, when you remote in and SSH into different systems. tmux works excellent for this use case. I really like it. It's one of those worthwhile things to learn if you do any type of command line Linux administration. So definitely a good thing there. All right. Moving on, what else in my title here? FreePBX IVR greeting. I wanted to talk about this. And let's see if I can log into my system. We just finally moved over. And people took a few things clearly the wrong way when I was talking about FreePBX. There was a problem I said about failover. I know all the different failover methods. The problem is people are like, oh, just fail it to a cell phone, fail it to a cloud server. It's one of those things that I completely admit I've been putting off doing because we moved into this building a couple of years ago. We used to have Ring Central. When we went from Ring Central to the FreePBX, I never thought about redundancy because FreeCentral was always just redundant. If there was ever a problem, we could always use our phones, even if the power was out. We always had access through the app. RingCentral is a decent system for that. It was just kind of pricey, and we wanted more flexibility, so we went to FreePBX. And I just been putting off for the last year of doing it, putting a failover, because we never had a failure in a year. Then we had a power outage, and I said, okay, I'm going to do the failover. So I will do a video to kind of clarify that and talk about that. So let me find system recordings. There we go. So one of the things that I think is important that people don't always think about is, let's see, can you post a cheat sheet? Oh, can I post a cheat sheet? Sure. Emacs cheat sheet. I think it's a, there you go. Learn Python programming from the video. Yes, he's teaching Python as well. Great channel. Friend of mine, he does use my studio. Since I'm starting down the barrel of PBX installation, do you prefer Sangoma or Digium phones? The Sangoma ones seem perfectly fine. So they seem fine. I've not spent a lot of time with both of them. I'm going off Chris's reviews more than my own. We're using A-Links here because we had them and they worked, so we carried on with them. A-Link has worked great for us. They don't have the features of Sangoma. We don't care about those features too much. So nonetheless, let me go back to what I was going to babble about. This. I don't know how this is going to play.
Thank you for calling Lawrence Systems, and we hope you're having a fantastic day. If you know your party's extension, you can dial it any time.
So one of the things that I think's important when you're setting up a PBX, and some people spend a lot of time and maybe painstakingly thinking about this, but I want to make sure they're clear. We get some commentary in this, and this is some important things. One of them is how we greet our clients. And people, it's funny because I see these discussions businesses have way overthinking their website, way thinking too much about it. I haven't even updated my website in a little while. And it's not because of YouTube. It's one of those things. Like, at some point, they go through it, and they're, okay, my website looks decent. I got some information on here. But people kind of look at it, and they're going to go down here, and what do? They want to engage with you. So one of two ways they're going to engage with you. Call my number. You know, that's the most common way to do it. And one of the things I think is important, this is where people do not think about this. They take themselves way too serious. Okay. So we go here and we call my office. I'm going to put on speakerphones. I want you guys to hear this.
Calling Lawrence Systems. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Know your party's extension? You can dial it any time. If your day is less than fantastic, press 1 for our support team, or press 5 for hours and directions.
And actually, I'll play another funny one for you guys. We also have, I'll save it in case you ever want to call. Certain options we're setting up, so if you just mash the buttons, a robot voice says, you don't know how to type, and I'm going to connect you with a human. Things like that. Those are the presentation to the client. I've had someone say, well, that doesn't sound professional or whatever, and I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't? Matter of fact, people are people. People want to hang out with people they like. So if the first engagement they have when they call me is, hey, are you having a fantastic day? If your day is less than fantastic, press 1 for support. If that didn't come through, that's one of those things that people don't think about. Like, you want to make sure when you're engaging with your clients, and that phone number or an email is going to be one of the first steps to how they engage with you. This is important, that you want to make sure that you have that in there. So I just wanted to kind of babble on about that. And when I do the redundancy, I'll talk about how I set that up. Because all we're doing is we're just putting a second FreePBX at a secondary location. So if the main location goes down, it just rolls over to it and collects the voicemails. A lot of people say, well, you could be forwarding it to your cell phone. And I'm like, no, I don't want to forward it to my cell phone. You know how many calls a day we get sometimes? I mean, we have 4 phones ringing all the time sometimes in the tech area. My phone, it would be kind of useless, and it would probably just clog the voicemails up on my phone. So we're just going to set up like a separate way to do it, a separate FreePBX server, and I'll do a video on that and kind of talk about it. So Oh, I couldn't understand what was said in a speakerphone, even with my hearing aids in. Okay, I wasn't sure, but that's what it says. I didn't know if it would play or not. I'm kind of fuzzy on how to do that. Here's a better idea. Probably a horrible idea, doing it for 100 people in the live stream. For those of you that actually want to hear our greeting, you may dial our phone number. You don't need to press any buttons. We have an IVR system that answers. Don't all call at once, as I tell that to 113 people live. But you could call the system, and it will play the greeting for you so you can hear it. So definitely something you could do. And I'm going to, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Actually, what I have in another window over here is, let me turn this on. I don't know if this will expose anyone's phone number. It might. I'm not going to show it because it'll expose numbers. Anyways, I have the verbose logging on my asterisk so I can show all the connections and calls coming in. So, what I can see is I can see how many people are calling. I'm watching numbers roll by. It has people's phone numbers in there, so I don't want to drag that screen over here. So I'll know if all of you start dialing the number. It does have caller ID, unless you spoof it, and that's a whole different topic on there. When was the last time you played with some games inside of configuring PBX system? Played games? I've thought about actually making some dial games and stuff like that. So, hey, look, people are. Oh wow, hey, a handful of people are calling now. I see all it tells me what IVR greetings playing, so I'm watching all the IVR greetings play. Neat. Yeah, please don't DDoS my system. I just got it up and running. Let's see. Yeah, voice quality is still not amazing. That's why we don't always want to do. That's why we don't always want everyone using phones. That's why I prefer, like, people say, hey, you want to do this conversation on a phone? I'm like, it would be better if we use Google Hangouts or something like that because the call quality is better. Like, we use G Suite, so Google Hangouts works really well. So, yeah. I'm going to look at something real quick that just came through because it's gonna be relevant to something to talk about. So, this is a segue after we play with the phone system more. I have a segue because I got a response to an email I sent, and that response is relevant to a business conversation I was having earlier. And I always like everything to be super transparency. So, anyways, back to the FreePBX. Yeah, don't DDoS my phone. I'm watching the numbers roll by. It looks cool. I wish I could show that to you guys, but I don't have. Well, I could. I know OBS supports it. I could set up like a blur system or something like that. Hold on before I go on the dashboard. You know, that's interesting. It doesn't tell me how many live calls there are. I am not a FreePBX expert. There's probably somewhere it says something like that, but I am not the expert on it. Oh well, let me close it before I expose something I don't want exposed. I care a lot about people's privacy, so I never want to just dump people's phone numbers in there. When is the next episode of How They Get Hacked? Probably tomorrow. That's my guess. I got to talk to Xavier and confirm that he's good for tomorrow. So those are details we're working on. If you heard some banging noises, that's because they're doing stuff in the studio right now. So that's actually happening, which is pretty cool. So we're rebuilding the studio. It didn't get finished, so I'm in here, not in there right now. But it's really hot in here, so let me kick my door open. Oh, there we go. So yeah, we'll probably be doing tomorrow how they got hacked. There is already discussion. We have I won't show it to you, but we have a private chat we do to build all of our show notes and things like that. So that's been a lot of fun. We've definitely been getting into the how they got hacked. By the way, I can't do it because it'll break it, but there is a Discord channel. Matter of fact, I tweeted it. Let me pull up my Twitter because Twitter. And I'll because I have the link in Twitter. I don't have it anywhere else. By the way, if you don't follow me on Twitter, why not? I've been tweeting a lot more lately. There we go. Well, it's a Twitter link. I think that'll work. You guys tell me. I am not a big Discord user, so I am on Discord, but I'm in everybody else's. I don't want my own. I post in my forums. That's my focus. So, but there's the how they get hacked one. Also, the thing is that we're going to be doing is moving how they got hacked to its own channel. So I will get links out to them. It's in the show notes of the last how they got hacked. So search. I don't know. Oh, there it is. It's in this one. You want to talk about your own operational security. If you get it somewhere in here. Del. Here we go. I need some more subscribers here. There we go. That's the how they got hacked channel we're building. There's a couple challenges with it. We need to have subscribers in order to turn the live stream on. And it takes like 30 days to activate. So if we need X amount of subscribers and everything else, but we want to focus this channel just on hacking content and everything else. So all the hacking content is going to be focused just here. That way it doesn't dilute my channel. Plus it's also co-owned with me and Xavier. So we will be running it like that, me, Xavier, and Mo. So crossover with the level 1 people? Sure. That might be fun too. They do all kinds. They're very smart people. There's a lot of smart people over at level 1. Hey Tom, I have FreePBX running with video chat working amazingly on Android. I'm working on how to install FreePBX and cleaning out all the unused commercial modules. Oh, cool. So how to set up postfix and how to get it working with Google Mail, external SCP. But I have no guide for that at all. I just use their built-in tools for that because it's easier. I've done postfix and setting up the encrypted passwords. If you look at how to postfix, at the mail relay. Oh, you have to do a bunch of stuff to get it working. Like, it's not impossible, but there's a bunch of little things you have to work to get this working, get that working. I used to do it years ago. I'm rusty at it now. I used to be a mail server admin, so yeah. That's one of those, yeah. I like the Hack the Planet cool looking. Yeah, that's just, how they got hacked stuff's funny. We're working on the artwork. I like the simplicity of it all is what we're starting with. So go ahead and click subscribe on there. We're going to re-upload a bunch of videos to it, and then we're going to move all the live streams to how they get hacked over to here. That way this channel is focused on, like I said, just the hacking stuff. So we have a handful of things we're working on for that. So coming up in an hour, I do not have all day to do this, so I'm only going to go probably another 20, 30 minutes before I have to wander off. But I have a line I said to someone today. I'm going to copy it word for word out of the email and post it somewhere. This is among those things I want to do more videos on, talking about bidding and things like that, because I have a couple more notes. Today's a no day. Today's a telling people no kind of day. collab with Hack5, hey, I would love to hang out with Darren Kitchen and those people. They're brilliant. They're great. Absolutely cool people for that stuff. But one of the things I had to do today make this bigger. And I think people overthink what they want to say to someone a little bit too often. But this started out with someone wanting me to take 8% off of my total bill. Well, quote, I'm not bill, quote, invoicing. Not invoicing, but, we were bidding a job. And this is exactly what I wrote back to them. We reviewed the numbers again, and while I can offer a guarantee for the quote not to exceed the prices quoted, we did not mark it up enough to bring the price down for that. Thank you. It's as simple as you have to reply to some of these people. The reason this is relevant and the reason I read the email and the reason I pulled this all back over here was this starts with a project that's worth, it's not huge, but it's a good sized project. And obviously it builds a relationship with the client because it's a new client. And one of the things we do is by having these responses I do to them like this, like, no, I'm not, basically I'm being polite. I'm politely declining that I did not make a bunch of margin on this just so you could take 8% of the project away. I don't really, the busier you get and our reputation is good and, we came highly recommended to this person, but then for them to really beat me up on price, especially talking about taking off, not like $100, but like 8% of the job. I'm like, okay, that's still like $1,000 something of the job. You just like, let me just take $1,000 from you. No, I'm polite, but these are important things when you're negotiating is not selling yourself short, staying firm, but the reply is what matters. They accepted still. They asked, they replied, they accepted. That's all it is about it. It's like, you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to get desperate for the job. If you seem desperate, once you start down that road, mentally you're going, man, I gave this guy so much money off this job. Do I want to do it? I'll use a few less zip ties on this wires over here. I'll kind of skip over a few things. You get that mentality when someone beats you up too much, and it's it's one of those things. And we tell people that we're going to give you a very honest price. We're going to give you a fair price. But unless you want to change the way we're doing it and tell them we're going to use something different, you can't say, can you do everything you quoted, but just take away 8%? That's going to be a no. I won't do it the same. That's something I think more people there's always, negotiating when you're buying and selling things. So when it comes to doing high tech work, we know how long it takes us to get things done. We quoted the parts that are involved in this. There's not some incredible margin on this that I can just take that out. So there's one of those things about being really upfront with people. And I do that when I do some of the consulting or help businesses with when I'm doing consulting, is making sure they do that. So to use any IVR software besides Unify Protect, can you recommend something for existing OMVIF cameras? Yes, I can. So this is one of the ones that once we go high end, we start talking about Exact Vision. The licenses are per camera, roughly $120, $130, depending on which reseller you buy them through. 100 that much per camera. So it does support OMVIF. You download, you set the server up, you can buy, your own hardware to spin this. But the thing about Exact Vision, I'll throw a link here because people might want to link to it. The team with Exact Vision, EXACQ.com, is they're expensive. So we looked at a customer, they want 30 cameras and they don't like 30 times 125 in license fees. So that can be an issue. Like it's not that it's not worth it. I think it's a great product. We have clients using it. We support it. We have this on a handful of servers. It's just not for everyone. If it's a small mom and pop shop going, I'm looking for the cheapest MVR, go buy a Lorex. Go buy one of these other ones. They're not wonderful. They're okay. But when you go to something higher end, you're going to get better support. The other one that I have not done, but I've looked into, a few people have asked me about them, is Axis. But that's not them. Axis.com, derp. I've heard really good things about Access, but you're back to the same thing. When you look at the price of an Access camera, they are, once again, any of their stuff is just a lot more expensive. It's like the Unify fit that cool gap, and this is one of the reasons we liked them so much, but we're really not deploying as many anymore. With Unify, they fit this gap that there was, okay, I got these crappy, weird, one-off, not very well-supported systems that have horrible interfaces that require me to use old version of Internet Explorer, or you could have this really nice Unify interface, and price-wise, you're maybe 10% more than the cheapy ones. That's actually pretty reasonable. No license fees, no recurring fees, all the features that a lot of people wanted, but then Unify decided not to give away their software no more. Well, they do, but they discontinued it, so it's still free, but they're not updating anymore. So yeah, now what? So it's all of a sudden, it's just, it's one of those things. Blue Iris is okay. I thought their software is kind of a resource hog, but it works. We have one client with it. I tell you one thing about it, and let me go here. Blue Iris images. Boy, their software is ugly. Like, it's not good looking software. Yeah, someone's showing just how much memory it uses and things like that. Yeah, it's a resource hog. It's one thing about ExactVision, it feels very well coded. It works, but yeah. ZoneMinder, I playing around with a little bit. I'm not overly impressed with it. Not enough that I would. It's a great home project, and even last time I talked about the Raspberry Pi on last Vlog Thursday and how I use it to monitor my stuff. I think the MI project with Raspberry Pi is really cool too. But they're not really commercial solutions, so it kind of depends on where you're going for. If you're looking for an open source one, I'm probably going to do a video on the MIRIS one. I'm going to probably, when I get around to it, it's been really busy lately. I have, and I got to remember the name because I created a server for it. Shinobi. So let's look up this. I have it installed, but I haven't. There we go. I have not really tested it. It looks cool. So that's, this is kind of neat. They seem to have, they're a fork of the ZoneMinder, so it's like an up-to-date, a little bit better ZoneMinder. It looks like it has some cool features, but I haven't really dug into it yet. I am only aware of it, but have not really tested it. It's open source, but they also have a paid version, but it's just a paid, like, give us some money for support type version, which is cool. Still open source. That's actually really cool. I like companies like that. They're like, hey, can you throw money at us to help us develop this product that you like? That is an absolutely excellent ask for companies to have. I have no problems with things like that. So, Blue Iris is subscription. I don't know. I know Blue Iris is not free or open source. If only their access point software doesn't require Java 8 and MongoDB. Yeah. This is this doesn't run on Java. Apparently, a few people did a couple of videos on a Shinobi. Like I said, I'm aware of it. I have not tested it, but it looks kind of promising. Of the ones I've looked at, and this is from a view from here. I've seen as much as that. I loaded it and then didn't have time to do anything with it, so that VM's been sitting silent now for a little while. So, yeah, I wish less things were written using Java in general. If the world stopped using Java, I'd be okay. I'd be fine with this. This is fine. All right, just seeing if there's any more follow-up on a couple jobs I got to do. Yeah. What's a Windows product that's open source? Yeah, I want to get around to show it. Don't expect it soon. So pay once, open doesn't. Yeah. Blue Iris, like I said, I think their software's kind of ugly, but it works. we have some client. We have a couple clients using it. What is their purchase price? I don't. It's not. It's $60 one time, so that's actually not horrible. So, yeah, I have not. So we. It's been a slow go working with the local startup on there. I think I'm going to push him. They are slow to make decisions. He's one of my next phone calls. I need to roll this out to a couple of people to start testing it. So what I'm referring to is my MSP backend program. So I'm going to, good news is he had so many questions. He solved a lot of the questions I think other people would have. He still hasn't pulled the trigger on it to see what it looks like in action. He's done a bunch of demos with me. He's a friend of mine, so I'm patient. But right now we're going to dig into like putting that together and reselling it. I just got to make sure I have all the legal end crossed. There's a couple legal questions that came up that I have to make sure I have everything covered before I resell it. So stay tuned. Trust me, when I'm ready, I will completely be announcing and reselling this. I'm a very careful business person, and I don't like mentioning anything that's not ready for sale. You know what I mean? That's not something I'm ready to throw out to the public. It's just, if I can't support things properly, I don't like to do them. I'll say no to something. Oh God, I've always hated that Richard Branson saying, and one of those go-getter entrepreneurs. I think Richard Branson's a wonderful person. It's not about him. It's about those fake it till you make it. What did he say? Something like, say yes first. One of those inspirational things. If someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure if you can do it, say yes and then learn how to do it later. I literally feel that Sir Richard Branson statement, too many cybersecurity people took this seriously and go, I said yes to the cybersecurity job. I'm going to figure it out. This is like a horrible piece of advice. This is not something I agree with him at all. And I actually, my business side, I actually read some of his books, and I think he's an intelligent guy. He's very interesting. But this type of thing drives me nuts, where this whole fake it till you make it, figure it out later type stuff. Anyways, I don't want to babble on about it too much, but I'm going to close all the tabs. This is what happens to my head when all this happens. So once I get all the MSP stuff ready, yes, I will be pushing it out there and talking about it. Oh, look, 195 once you subscribed. Awesome. Yeah, praise for telling the truth about Java. Yeah, Java's a mess. What is here? I did upgrade 30 gig RAM for 60 gigs so I can run more VMs and do some testing, including trying out Windows Server 2019 and Proxmox. Yeah, Proxmox is great. Jay has videos. Learn Linux TV. Learn Linux TV Proxmox. There you go. There's a whole bunch of Proxmox videos, step by step. You guys are always asking me for them. The problem is I don't use Proxmox. So even if I told you in a video about it, I wouldn't be able to help you very much because it's not something I use. Jay has a lot of experience with Proxmox, and therefore he uses Proxmox a lot. Like, this is something that he has entire labs he's built with it and everything else. So, yeah. This is one of those, like, people ask me about this constantly. Just go to Jay's channel. Look at all these videos on Proxmox. He's actually surprised for as many questions as I get on it, how few views he has on it, because there's not a lot of other people doing Proxmox videos. There's only a few. So watch his videos. They're great on it. But I think that's where I'm going to end this, because I'm going to get back to work. I can't think of anything else I have to say. Is there any other questions people have for me? I can babble on forever if I wanted to, but I actually have to do a little bit of work today. I got this done early because the rest of my day is floating around with a bunch of work. So other people saying yes, very good info from Jay. So yeah, he's got a great channel. One of his, I asked him a while back because there's a gap in his videos where he didn't post for a while, and I said, "What are some of the challenges you're having?" I personally reached out to him, And he says, oh, finding the right time and to get all this done and having a place to record. I'm like, dude, just use my office. So he comes and uses my office, in case you're wondering. If someone said, hey, this dude's ripping off your style, I said, no, he's not. He's using my studio. So he has great information. So we worked out a deal where he does a lot of his stuff here. So that's how that works. Need to find an OpenSense tutorial. I have it set up and need to get better at it. I have no interest in OpenSense. There's nothing about it that compels me. Everyone asks me about it. I'm not going to use it. Matter of fact, I have someone else who's switching away from it because they compared it to pfSense and said they just have a ton of problems with it. So, yeah. Oh, where'd the link go for the How They Got Hacked channel? I'll post it again. Awesome. Thank you for everyone who came to live feed. While you're all here, I do have one question. You can leave it in the comments. You can talk about it in the forums. I did consider hosting a Google Live Hangout where I could be interactive, where people could ask me questions. I don't know if I would do this, how I would set this up, but I would kind of gear it more towards business owners who want to do a Q&A, kind of like a webinar or something like that. What it would do is so people don't have to pay as much, like they could do a consulting session with me kind of in a group setting. If this is something people are interested in, let me know. I'll kind of leave you guys with that thought there if this is something that's interesting to you. So it's something I definitely, have thought about, considered. My proxy runs an entire network. But doing that to do like a Google Hangout style where everyone can interact, like with voice interaction and things like that, because that's a lot more intensive and I would have to put a cap on it. I don't know if any of you from this audience would be interested in that, though. I would probably have to, have some small fee, kind of set it up like a webinar, but I would offer, some of my services and around the topic and things like that. So, is it something I do, but I thought about ways to do it to make it a little bit easier for, very kind of one-on-one training sessions for a product or a topic. So I would make it really, try to make it affordable, and do like an hour session with a group of people and see how it goes. Obviously, I have to cap it. I can't have 50 people asking questions in there. So I would set these sessions up and, go from there. And because this would be an engagement back and forth where it's a paid session, but it's a learning session to help coach people on things. So something I'm thinking about doing, expanding into a little bit. I'll always have tons of content being pumped out here on the channel. I'm not trying to build any type of exclusive clubs, but I know some people on the consulting side, they go, well, I don't want to buy that many hours of consulting, but I'm trying to find a happy middle where all of us can get together. And by the way, when you get a handful of people around a topic, like let's say we did a video on how to do some particular thing, and I did it as a Q&A, that might be a fun thing to do when you're talking about business. And they would not be recorded purposely, probably. I would set them, or maybe I would record them. I don't know. I'll have to see where the value is later of giving the information we come out with. Like the people who pay can do the live stream, but then afterwards, I don't know. These are all the ideas I'm having lately that I want to think about. I always like to share with everyone. I always like to make everyone, but I never try to like paywall off any type of information and things like that. But the other side of it, when you don't post things publicly, people are more willing to talk about numbers and details, and there's value in having those discussions. I do that a lot of times when I do my one-on-one discussions with people. So anyways, that's about it. I can't think of anything else, and thank you, everyone. Let's see, yeah, there is a forum thread with network pictures. There is. There's a lot of them in there, so I gotta go to the time lapse going for the studio, and then I gotta go answer a bunch of emails and do work. But I did post some messy pictures of the studio on my Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'll post my Twitter. What is my Twitter? I think my Twitter's Tom Lawrence Tech. Hey, there's me. So if you want to follow me on Twitter. So let's see. Yeah, maybe a lower rate for video. Record them. Yeah, well, I like some of the direct engagement because of all the back and forth with people. Sometimes create some really interesting conversations. So, all right, later. Thank you, everyone who joined the live stream. I'm going to get back to work because I really have a lot to do today. I'm like a person who obsesses when my email gets too many unread, and there's 4, so I have to reply to these people. Yeah, please join the forums. Let me throw that link in here for anyone who came late, just so you have way. Look, this is always in the description below, but I still get people every day that tell me I didn't know you had forums. Please, if you want to engage with me, I'm on there all the time. If you want to hire us, you contact me via the contact form. One of my staff or me will reach out to you, and that's for hiring. But the forums.lawrencesystem.com are just conversation starters. So that's all the places for that. All right, thanks, and I'm out.